Hello gang, coming to you from Omaha. That's why I have the sweater on. You know, it's fall season out here. It's really great. I've got some fun things. This is my Texas Rangers replica World Series trophy, which is only good for one more week, unfortunately. Bobblehead, you know, all sorts of crap I have here. Listen, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I'm about to start a series of boating help tips, I guess you would say, with experts who are in boating and can make being on a charter so much easier and better. For example, mooring balls, they can be safer. I'm sure they can. We're gonna have a talk about that. That's today's talk. We can talk about insurance. What's good insurance? What's bad insurance? We can talk about salvage pirates and what they're gonna do to you. And oh, by the way, they may even ask you to have a beer with them after they kind of take your boat. That's a whole nother story. It's a little personal. I'll get to that in another video. But anyway, we're starting this series off with my good friend Ty Atterbury. Ty and his partners, or he'll have to explain, have come up with BoatyBall. They also have a new app which will set off an alarm and will let you know if your vessel is going outside of the area of where your mooring ball is, meaning you've broken free. I could have used this, you know what I'm saying? And I think this is really, really valuable, especially for all the charter folks down in the BVI who are using BoatyBalls. So Ty, welcome to the Wandering Hillbilly channel.
Well, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Alan.
Boy, you're in a really crappy place right now. Where the hell are you?
Yeah, so I'm sitting outside of Hendo's here in White Beach. And I think to steal one of your lines, this doesn't suck.
Ty, I'm in a sweater in Omaha. This is not fair. Well, tell us why you're down there. You're down there testing this thing, right?
Yeah, so we've been down here the last 3 or 4 days calibrating the mooring balls. We've literally rode circles around over 260 mooring balls here in the BVI to calibrate the center point, which is going to help us for the Boaty alarm, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And so that's been what we've been doing for the last 3 days.
I cannot believe I'm sitting here interviewing you, and do you have like a drink near you, I hope?
Sticking with water today.
Okay,
We're trying to
right.
rehydrate.
All right, okay. Well, let's go back to the very beginning, because BoatyBall, in my recollection, appeared about 3 to 4 years ago. And I think for the first year and a half, it was kind of like Piratesville out there, because I think it took people a long time to kind of figure out this is a good thing, right? Because they had done it for decades and decades, just the regular old first come, first serve way. And so then BoatyBall came along, but I think everybody's kind of figured it out now and are embracing it. But tell us how it came about, why'd you do it, and how does it help the BVI and help charter folks?
We came up with the idea while we were down here on charter. Bob, my business partner, and I were on a boat with our families racing for the last mooring ball at Cooper one night. I wouldn't say we were being reckless, but we weren't being smart. We were racing through the mooring field with another boat to try to get to that last mooring ball. Pulled up to it, pennant was busted. And so we both hightailed it out of there because the storm was coming in. And long story short, we ended up in Great Harbor at Peter that night with a squall coming in. And we just decided, hey, there's got to be a better way than racing for the last mooring ball in a bay. And so the rest of that trip, we started talking with people, learned the landscape down here. When we would charter with different companies, they would usually tell us tie up to a more secure mooring. Well, we would pull into a bay. You didn't know which moorings were more secure.
How do you know?
You don't know, right? You're looking for the one available ball. And this was pre-Irma when we had the idea. We came back down after that and started talking with locals. And one of the biggest challenges for them was cash. And we thought cash was king, and that was going to be a reason for them not to want to do this. But it turned out it was one of the biggest motivators for the locals for adopting the program. Was these small islands don't have banks, and they were sending somebody with 20, 30 grand in a backpack to go stand in line once a month in Tortola for 3 or 4 hours.
Really? That never hit me, because you're right, because you always had to have a load of cash on the boat in order to pay these guys who come up and ask for 30 bucks a night. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
I always thought it was really interesting. You know, they would hand you a receipt, but you don't know who the hell these people are. I mean, you know, anybody could have gone by and asked for 30 bucks. And I was like, yeah, sure, here.
Unfortunately, it was a common occurrence down here that people would steal from each other. They would go out and collect. You as a boater have no clue when somebody comes up and says, hey, it's 30 bucks and hands you a piece of paper. You think it's legit.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that was going on as well. And BoatyBall helps address that as well.
Awesome. Now, you also mentioned to me once the significance for restaurants on that particular island knowing how many folks they're going to have in that night. That was another key factor for these guys,
A
wasn't it?
huge piece for them is knowing how much staff just to have on the island that night.
Right.
And getting an idea with the reservable moorings gave them an idea ahead of time, how much staff are we going to need? How much food are we going to need? So that was a big thing for them. The other thing we didn't appreciate was many boaters would make reservations weeks, months in advance for dinner. They get down here, the weather changes,
Right.
Or they come in, they don't find a mooring ball,
Right.
and they leave.
Right.
They just wouldn't cancel their dinner reservation. And now a restaurant that's only got 15 tables, 10 tables is holding a table for this guest that made reservations. And so cutting down on the last minute cancellations was another big thing that these restaurants were trying to see if BoatyBall would help out with, and it has.
It sounds like the idea of your selfish idea of making sure there was a damn ball there when you showed up turns into a wonderful idea for the country.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things we wanted to do early on was reward the local businesses that were paying for maintenance and insurance on the moorings, because unfortunately, that's not the case for the vast majorities in the BVI and quite frankly, across the world.
Well, okay, so then that takes me to the next big question about BoatyBall. Why am I on a BoatyBall? Why is a BoatyBall so much better than any other ball I may pick up out there? Where's my reassurance of that?
I can't speak for the other moorings and that are throughout the BVI. Because there's good people who install properly and everything else. The ones in our program in the BVI have been installed and been maintained by a company called More Secure that's been doing this for over 30 years. They were one of the first companies to put in mooring balls in the BVI. They put them in at the Rhone. They were a bunch of divers, wanted to protect the reef. And they came up with the business idea of putting these mooring balls throughout the BVI. One of the key components to this is they're also the company that's responsible for maintaining them. What happens in the US, for example, in many of the counties, they'll get a grant to put in 30 mooring balls. They'll put them in. It goes out to the cheapest bidder, who tends to put in the cheapest hardware they can because they're not going to be responsible for maintaining them.
Right.
In this case, More Secure installs them and they're responsible for maintaining them. So they'll spend the extra money for the heavier hardware, the heavier chain, so that their maintenance actually is reduced on these moorings over time.
Wow. That's significant. But now I know you want to say this too. It doesn't mean that it's foolproof and that they're all going to work 100% of the time. Tell us about that.
For those of you who've been down here, we see all kinds of things, right? And we've been circling, all the moorings over the last couple of days, and you'd be surprised how many they look like teeth marks in them. The props have just totally smoked the mooring. They've gone right over it and torn them up. So just because they're maintained and insured doesn't mean you're not going to have a problem. You don't know what happened 30 minutes before you arrive. If somebody gets a pennant caught in their prop, which happens almost weekly, we get a report. What's not obvious is somebody who's run over the mooring ball and torn up the line down below the mooring ball.
Right.
And More Secure, who's been doing this a long time, has gotten pretty smart. They don't need chain on these mooring balls. In fact, rope in many cases is better because it will stretch. Right. But they put about 10 foot of chain on below the mooring ball. So if it does get run over, it's going to do some damage to the boat.
Yeah.
But less likely to do damage to the mooring ball.
Oh, I like that.
And so that's what's led us to this next step that we're working on with the Boaty alarm.
Gotcha. Okay. Great segue. Thank you so much for doing my job for me. Back when I had my accident in January, it was interesting. I don't know if you even remember this. The first, I called you up, and the first thing you said to me was, do you remember?
This could have happened to anybody.
Exactly. You remembered. Dude, you'll have no idea what that meant to me, because when something like this happens, you spend many, many sleepless nights going over everything you did that day, every decision you made. The idea of being as secure as possible with a ball that you pick up during your vacation is paramount. So the app, tell us about the app. Tell us how you developed it. Tell us what it does. How easy is it to use? Fill us in. What is the app?
So our goal is to create a very simple to use app that's going to give you additional peace of mind when you're on a mooring. That's our goal. We've used a lot of different anchor alarms over the years when we're on moorings. And one of the challenges with these anchor alarms is you need to know where the set point is or where you drop the anchor. You need to know how much line is out. And so you end up guessing when you're on a mooring ball, which can lead to false alarms, and false alarms leads to people not using those apps.
I am for one. Look, after about a month of it, I threw it in the water. It was annoying because it was inaccurate all the time.
We tried to create a system that is really targeted towards the charter guest who, just trying to really simplify it and take all the guesswork out of it. And so what we've been doing is mapping out these mooring balls, is creating a safe zone around each mooring so that when you pull into the mooring that you're tying up to for the night, you'll see this perimeter pop up. And then all you literally have to do is hit one button and it's going to set the alarm. And now it's going to start tracking your boat's location within that safe perimeter. And if something happens, if the boat comes untied, or if something happens to the mooring and you start to drift close to that safe perimeter, you're going to get one warning that says you're getting close. And then if you come outside that perimeter, you're going to get an audible alert.
And the major advantage of this is you guys have tied up to every ball out there, every Boaty ball out there, and have tracked this stuff. So it's accurate as can be, I guess.
As accurate as can be. We're looking for people to help beta test it. Yeah. It's a system that will get smarter over time. So unlike an anchor where you have an N of one, in this case, by the end of the season, we'll have 100 boats information on each one of the moorings, and we'll be able to fine tune the algorithm to kind of make sure that that safe zone, we want it to be as tight as possible without setting off false alarms.
Right.
And so over time, we'll be able to use data to get smarter and smarter about it.
What a secure feeling. Now, who sees it? Who sees the alarm? And can everyone on the boat have the app? And by the way, if I tie up at LEVERICKBAY and I drive all the way over to Kokomaya for dinner and the boat's by itself for 3 or 4 hours, how does that work?
Great questions. I'm sitting at Hendo right now. Our boat's over in Great Harbor, and I'm tracking it. I know exactly where it is on the mooring ball as we speak.
Well, then what's on the boat that's sending you that signal?
The trick is with this is you're going to have to leave one device that's got data access on the boat. And that's going to be the device that's tracking the boat's location. And so I usually use an iPad when I come down and I leave that on the boat. Other people will just leave a phone on the boat. You want to leave it plugged in. You want to leave it out. You want to leave it out of the elements. You don't want your phone to overheat. Right. So we recommend people just leave it, in the galley area, plugged in. Kind of the back half of the boat is the way we've calculated the algorithms. So you leave your phone plugged in, and that one is going to monitor your location. You'll then be able to sync with as many people as you want. If you want somebody at home to be able to track your location, you can share your trip with them. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow, that's awesome.
The advantage is anybody on your trip, anybody at home, you can share your trip information for. They hit the little anchor alarm on theirs, and then they can track and look at where the boat is for that trip.
Okay, well, that is incredible that you can spread it out with all your entire crew. So the one device that you leave on, do you have to have Wi-Fi for that device that you leave on boat?
You don't have to have Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi does start to help with the location. So what you need the data for, or the Wi-Fi, is to send the signal to all the other devices that are wanting to track it.
Well, in the BVI, that's not an issue, right? I mean, there's plenty of data anywhere you go out there.
Yeah, and we've been testing it this week, and it's worked everywhere we've gone.
I swear I've got better cell service out there than I do here in Elkhorn, Nebraska. I don't know why, but it's just the way life is, I guess.
Yep.
So, another thing is we play a little game when we're down there, and the game is help me find my damn mooring ball. Because if I get up and I reserve the ball, and I've got number 26 over at Great Harbor, and by the way, the numbering system over at Great Harbor, I want to discuss with you, because it's all over the frickin' place. So we play this little game where people get out on the bow, and I'm with my binoculars up there, and we're trying to figure out where the ball is. So you're telling, you told me in an earlier conversation that the app will also help you find the ball. Please explain.
Absolutely. This will help you find your ball when you're trying to find it for the first time, or you're stumbling your way back from Foxy's late at night. We might or might not have used that the other night to help find our boat.
Oh, yeah. But, is that the thing you sent me? I'll be using that.
Yeah, exactly right. So, yeah, so I actually think people will probably spend more time on the alarm app than they will the reservation app, in the sense that when you're coming into a bay, you can see your current location in relation to the mooring ball that you're looking for. And so it is going to help you find mooring ball number 26 in Great Harbor, which we know that's also an issue, kind of a separate topic, but we do have some newly designed mooring balls that will be getting installed this year with bigger numbers.
Thank you. Please. Thank you. Thank you.
We were in King Garden Bay the other day, and there's so much bird poop on them that you can't read the numbers, even if you're, right on top of them. And so we're going to be refreshing some of those this year, but the app will definitely help out with that.
Okay, we're excited about this because safety obviously makes a safer and better vacation. Are we still signing up for the ball that day at 7 a.m. on the website, or is it, because that's separate than the app, right?
Yeah, great question. This year, as we're launching a couple different things, and it's going to be a little kludgy. I'm just going to say that our goal is, if all this works, is to marry it all into one nice little application. But you're still going to reserve your mooring ball through the regular reservation system at 7 a.m. the way you normally would.
Ty, you and I were talking recently about, taking a drink. Great. That's fabulous. We were talking recently about tying up and the amount of line that you put out when you tie to the ball, and how important that is to what you're doing. And I completely understand that, because if you put a lot of line out, you can get outside the circle. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I think the number one rule is, just because they give you a lot of line on your charter boat, you don't have to use it. We see boats with 10, 15 feet of line between the pennant and their boat. They'll literally let out all the line. These bays can be very tight, and if you let out that much line, you're bound to start bouncing into other boats. And so we recommend only about 3 to no more than 5 feet off the bow of your boat should be the pennant that you're running your lines through.
Especially, like Norman is tight, Bitter and Yacht Club is very tight. So all these little tight areas, it makes a lot of sense.
Cooper's really tight. You get a lot of changing wind and changing current. And if those boats are really loose and they start swinging, that's when we run into issues.
Yeah. I'm really sorry about your lack of enthusiasm and your lack of thought and leadership, and it's just crazy. The thing is that the reason why I like hearing things like this from people like you about the BVI is because when you go down there and fall in love with it, you want to help it. You want to help everybody around you, and that's just the whole motivation for all of this. I often get comments about, it's all about money making stuff. Well, it really isn't, really, because you're probably not rolling in cash off of this yet, right?
No. Yeah. Building software is a very expensive game.
Exactly, right? And by the way, a hurricane can come by next year and you're starting all over again. So I really appreciate you guys working so hard for people's safety and for their happiness and being down there and helping the folks of the BVI as well. It's very awesome.
We just want people to be able to come down here, relax, and have peace of mind, and help them sleep better at night while they're on vacation. And I will tell you, I sleep a lot better when I can roll over, see my boat's location, and know that, and I don't have to get up on deck and go check. I can literally roll over and check.
Well, but it was always kind of in the middle of the night. I always did that, but there was also an ulterior motive that older guys have to do anyway. So. All right, well, this is exciting. So what we're going to do on the Hillbilly Flotilla is every boat's going to have a device, right? And whoever wants to participate on that boat can download the app, and they'll be able. So you're going to gather all this data, I'm assuming, from all of these boats for the entire week, which is unbelievably invaluable, I would think.
Yep.
And then once we gather that information, what I'd like you to do is get on with you again here, probably about a month's time, and evaluate, see how we did and see how the app's doing, and hopefully you'll have a release date at that point.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. We appreciate it. We know there'll be some bugs and some kinks, and we look forward to getting feedback and continue to make it better.
Thanks for spending time. Now, the thing you haven't been seeing is all the people walking by behind you with painkillers in their hand in various states of dress, which some are very interesting, some are great. But it does definitely paint a picture, and I'm going to be sitting on that damn chair in about 4 or 5 days, so I'm very happy about that.
Well, hey, we appreciate it, and we appreciate you giving it a shot.
Absolutely, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Huh? All right, sounds good. Thanks, Alan.
All right, Ty's a great guy. His partner, they're all great, and they're just trying to make everybody's experience better, including those who run the businesses down there, and that's great. And look, if I don't turn what happened to me into goodness in many ways, then I don't know. Then I didn't learn anything. And so this is my mission, and this is what I want to do. I've been down and out for quite a while. I've had a lot of health issues I'm still struggling with, but I'm getting there, and I'm going to get back on the saddle. We'll get there eventually, back to where we were before. And I just appreciate all you guys hanging with me for this journey, and the journey is going to continue starting next week, as a matter of fact. See you later.